Hello and welcome back to State of Star Wars podcast. My name is Wedge Antilles, and today I'm joined by Jedi Master Daniel and Captain Henson.
This is the way.
This is the way.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about the latest episode of Mandalorian, Chapter 11, The Heiress. So, who wants to explain what it's about?
I guess I'll go. So, pretty much with this episode, it's pretty much, Din and Baby Yoda and the Frog Lady are returning to the planet, to this planet, which it's water, so it looks like it's Mon Cala, which they didn't really confirm it. I mean, you have Mon Calamari species with, Quarren on it, so I wouldn't be surprised if this has been confirmed to be Mon Cala. And yeah, pretty much, we see the Razor Crest beat up. So you pretty much see the shot, what you see from the teaser trailer from the first one. And yeah, and then we pretty much, see the Razor Crest, it's coming in hot, and it looks like it's coming in a very hot land. And then they tell him to slow down, and Din says he's trying. Then he lands on the platform, and then he wants his his ship fixed, and then the Mon Calamari character fixes his ship, and then pretty much they're walking through the town, and then the port, and then we see the Frog Lady reunite with who she wants to who she was gonna go see, and then then like Din and Baby Yoda go in the restaurant place to to have food because he wants to give Baby Yoda some food, and then like he has like a crab like creature in his soup with Baby Yoda, and then Din tells Baby Yoda not to play with his food. And then, because pretty much Din is asking for, has he seen other Mandalorians? So that's that. Then, like, Din talks of a Quarren, and then they go out to sea, as we see in the trailer. So this is, pretty much we got to see him out on the boat. Then they're on the boat, and then, the Quarren character is fishing. Then he kicks Baby Yoda into the water, and that's that. And then Din goes to save him. Then he's trapped in that, in the water, and then he tries to get out. And then we see some other Mandalorians come to the rescue. And and one of the Mandalorians is Bo-Katan. And we see Bo-Katan in live action. Then they pretty much have a fight with the Corn people. And that's that, and then one of the Mandalorians goes to rescue Baby Yoda, and then they pretty much defeat the Quarren. Then they pretty much fly off on their jetpacks and all that, and then pretty much Din is asking for them about other Mandalorians. They go off, fly off the thing, and then, they pretty much fly off, and then we see the sunset of that, and then the others destroy the ship they were on, and then we see the other Mandalorians, talking in that because they first encountered the other Quarren, and then because how they think Din killed their brothers, and the others show up, and then there's a big fight with the Quarren and all them, and then we see the guys, fight, and then they go in the bar and stuff. Then they have a talk about where to take, where Din asks Bo-Katan where to take Baby Yoda, and then they pretty much go on this mission, on an Imperial ship. Din gives Baby Yoda to the, frog people, and then, is where we see the big heist with Din, Bo-Katan, and the other Mandalorians, and the other Mandalorians I forgot to mention is Sasha Banks' character. So, the confirmation, Sasha Banks is another Mandalorian character, and no, she is not Sabine. So, there you have it there. So, I just want to make a little side note there. And with that, they pretty much go on the ship, and then they pretty much, infiltrate. They fight some stormtroopers and all that, and then we see a big, shoot fight with them with stormtroopers, and then we have the Imperial officers talking to Moff Gideon in a hologram. Moff Gideon appears in a hologram, so the other Imperial officers are talking with them there, and then pretty much, like there's a bit where the other Mandalorians take the other Imperial officers and stormtroopers out the airlock. So that's that, and then they continue to fight the Mandalorian. I mean, the Mandalorians continue to fight the other stormtroopers. So we have a battle with that, and then the other Mandalorians infiltrate the bridge, and then they go on the bridge, and then they, also the Imperial officer tries to crash the ship, where he kills the other Imperial officers. Then when the other Mandalorians reach the bridge, one of them interrogates the main Imperial officer. Where is the Darksaber about? Does Moff Gideon have it? And all that. And then they pretty much, get the Imperial officer in the end. And then there's a bit as where Din asks, because they have the deal kind of thing. And then Din asks Bo-Katan where is, the Jedi to take Baby Yoda to, and then we have the big name drop. It looks like we are getting Ahsoka in The Mandalorian, and definitely as Bo-Katan mentions Ahsoka, and my God, my jaw dropped when that happened. And then pretty much that's that. And then Din goes to get Baby Yoda from the frog people, and then they take off. And then pretty much they go on the ship and all that, and then meet with the other Mon Calamari there, and then they go on, pretty much they go on the Razor Crest, and there's all a bunch of nets and all that, and then Baby Yoda finds this like spider-looking crab creature, and then pretty much Din grabs it, and then pretty much kills it, and then they fly off and then head where they need to go. So that's pretty much a rundown of the episode. So what did you guys think of the episode?
Wow. Well, so after we got last week's episode of, relatively speaking, not much happening, and then to get this episode where not only we got Bo-Katan back, played by Katie Sarkoff, so hell yes on that front.
Mm-hmm.
But we finally got confirmation of Ahsoka. And let's face it, this is confirmation that she's going to appear.
Yeah.
And my God, that has me excited.
I'm with you there. Like, as I said when I was doing the summary, my jaw just dropped. I was like, oh! And then my jaw dropped. That was like my reaction.
Because it's like, and another good thing too is the end goal. I mean, we already knew that he was going to find Jedi, but now that the goal is more clear, especially since it's Ahsoka, and the story potential is, oh God, practically limitless.
I know, like I think they just really upped the bar more. Like they really raised the bar, and I was like, as I said, I was like, oh man, I think definitely this was a huge improvement over the last episode. It really raised the bar. Like this one really was a huge upgrade. Like first episode was here, and then it kind of went on a little bit of a slope for the second one. Then this one went up the slope again.
You know what I mean? Now that I know we're gonna get Ahsoka, every episode we get until her can just be absolute filler.
Yeah.
Because we are getting Ahsoka in live action.
I know. I can't wait to see how she looks in live action, like how they do it. Like with the Bo-Katan, I'm like, they got it almost right. Like the authenticity from her in like the Clone Wars and Rebels, they did a pretty good job at trying to get the most accurate representation of Bo-Katan in live action.
I mean, you can't get more accurate than getting the actual actress to play
Agreed.
her. Mm-hmm. I was so happy to see that she was playing her.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like if you got an actress who voices a character but can also play the character in live action, use it.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what I'm kind of questioning. is Rosario Dawson gonna be Ahsoka in it, or are they gonna throw a curveball and throw in Ashley Eckstein to play
I
Ahsoka?
I doubt it's. And then again, I don't know what else she's done outside of voicing Ahsoka, but
Yeah,
I
like,
don't. I doubt it.
will this kind of be like the James Arnold Taylor Obi-Wan Kenobi, or the Sam Witwer Ray Park Darth Maul, or the Hayden Christensen Matt Lanter, or the Hayden Christensen Matt Lucas of Anakin?
I think they're going to do that because we
What
also have
with
to
the
realize that Ahsoka's much older at this point, and
yeah,
Rosario Dawson's probably going to have the face closer to an older Ahsoka than Ashley Eckstein would.
yeah,
Though
because
it's funny
Ashley,
because Bo-Katan does not look that old at
Yeah,
all.
maybe just Mandalorian's age well.
true,
I mean, she looks like really good for someone who I would say is supposed to be in their 60s
50.
or 70s.
I was going to say she's still in her 50s.
yeah, because she has to be like very old by like the sequel trilogy. What? Because Mando is about like 5 years after Return of the Jedi, which would be about 25 years before The Force Awakens.
And like 25 years after, well, the Siege of Mandalore.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the Siege of Mandalore takes place um during the events of Revenge of the Sith, which is 19 years before A New Hope, and then Return of the Jedi is 4 years after A New Hope, so 4 ABY. So Mandalorian would be about 9 ABY in the timeline.
You know, now that we have Bo-Katan and we have a clearer vision of what the end goal is, I really
Yeah,
hope that Mando passes Baby Yoda off to Ahsoka. Now, of course, that can raise a few things of what the hell is this show without Baby Yoda. That's certainly a topic, but I'm hoping now that they've introduced Bo-Katan and she's trying to get the Darksaber away from Moff Gideon, to become the next Mandalore,
yeah,
that once Baby Yoda is passed off, if that is what they're doing, Mando joins up with her and her group of Mandalorians, and the show finally just has a focus on Mandalorian stuff. Because as much as I love Baby Yoda, I would love for him to just go away to a Jedi focused
yeah.
story, so that way Mando could just do Mandalorian things.
True. I would I would agree there. Like it would be nice if they brought like Baby Yoda into the potential Rebels sequel series. Like I thought that would be a nice marketing technique for the animated shows.
I can actually see that. Now that you pointed it out, like, I could actually, like, picture it, like, in the Rebels or, like, Clone Wars style. We have, like, a Baby Yoda join them, and, like,
Yeah,
Ahsoka's teaching him about the Force while they're searching for Ezra and Thrawn.
that would be nice.
I
Like
mean, especially if they want the Disney Plus shows to be like the Marvel Netflix shows of being like still part of a larger universe, but are their own little self-contained
true.
universe.
And then I think like the MCU Disney Plus show is gonna be part of the MCU in a way.
Well, I
Like
mean, they are part of the MCU.
yeah, because now you have like WandaVision and all
I
that, and
mean,
that's
like,
gonna be
but those are like far more connected to the films than the Marvel Netflix shows were.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
point is, like, the Disney Plus Star Wars shows can be their own little universe, but still
Yeah,
a part of the larger canon.
I agree. Like, I
And
mean,
Baby
even
Yoda can be one of those connective tissues.
that'd be good. And then there's these rumors of a Boba Fett miniseries on Disney Plus they can do. I'm not sure. I think like the Cassian show is gonna be its own thing and maybe have some connections. And same with what do you call it? Kenobi will have its own connections. But yeah, I think like that'd be a nice if like Mandalorian and the Rebel sequel show if it eventually happens, which I'm pretty confident it will.
That's just
But
going to be the Ahsoka show. I'm calling it now.
I think it will be called what, like the Star Wars: The Adventures of Ahsoka and Sabine, The Search for Ezra Bridger and Thrawn. But
Hmm.
I don't know. Like maybe they'll do something creative than that. But that's just my little fun little throw in there. But yeah, I think that would be nice. I think, as you said, if they bring Ahsoka to, if Baby Yoda goes to Ahsoka, that would be nice to bring him in the potential Rebels sequel show. Like I think it would be a nice, as I stated, a nice marketing technique for
I
the
do think
animation.
that by the end of this season, Baby Yoda will be passed off to Ahsoka, be this real tear-jerker of a departure, and then Mando can go off with Bo-Katan, and then Moff Gideon will be dealt with next
Yeah.
season.
True. I think Moff Gideon is more the big bad of the series.
He's the villain, at least right now.
Yeah, like that would be nice. Even I wonder, would you say it's almost going to the Rebels effect, where like in Rebels season 1, it sort of establishes its new characters, and then I mean Rebels season 1, you had a few movie characters with like Vader, Tarkin, and then you had a Lando appear in an episode. So you had that, and then by like Rebel season 2, they started to more connect it to the larger universe with Ahsoka, Rex, Hondo appearing. Then we had Maul and Vader, and that, and then Rebel season 3 recanonizes Grand Admiral Thrawn, which was a huge move there. And then we see a little bit more of Maul. And then season 4, we have Thrawn. And then we have the recanonization of Rook. And then at the end, Pelion appears. I wonder if, like, since Mandalorian is going that effect, where season 1 establishes its new characters, then season 2 is sort of bringing in more established characters, like where we bring in Boba Fett, which was in episode 1. Then we bring in Bo-Katan, which is a character from the animation, and then the name drop of Ahsoka, and she's eventually going to appear. I wonder if, like, the Mandalorian is going to follow that trend. Like, let's say, I don't know, season 3, they're going to recanonize a big Legends character. Would you see them go in that pattern?
Maybe. I mean, getting Cobb Vanth was really cool, so
Yeah.
my money would be on Afra.
Yeah, I could
Yeah,
see
Really
same.
love
that.
to see her in live action.
That'd be nice. And I think some good Legends characters, bring in like Talon Card maybe, or he would be nice for the show. And who knows, maybe like another Legends character, maybe for some Imperials, like maybe like Natasi. As I stated, I think a good one I'd like to bring in is like Natasi Dala and Usain Izzard.
So, Wedge, you said you had a theory.
It's a little bit crazy, but hear me out.
All right.
Essentially, I feel like halfway through the series, we're gonna lose Baby Yoda. Like he's gonna be gone. I don't know if it's this season, maybe next, but he's gonna be gone. And the rest of the series is gonna focus on Mandalorian and Bo-Katan trying to liberate Mandalore. And eventually, when it's all said and done, the Mandalorian is gonna become the like Mandalore, the ruler.
Oh,
Mm,
that would be awesome.
I mean, honestly,
Like,
I just want Baby Yoda to leave so we can just focus on Mandalorian shenanigans.
yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. If they bring in Bo-Katan as like the next like supporting character, I'd be down. Please, I want that to happen. I want Bo-Katan to play a bigger role in the series. And as I
Yes, I
said,
mean, we haven't seen her since Rebels, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think she's appeared in anything since Rebels. Well, okay,
um,
TCW, but that's a different animal.
true, but it's only like TCW season 7. It was a guarantee because it was already established that she
Like,
would appear in the Siege of Mandalore.
have we gotten any stories dealing with her between the end of Rebels and this?
I don't think
No,
so.
yeah, that's what I want to see if they'll bring any flashbacks. Like we'll see, and maybe they'll establish it in the books or the comics, maybe, or do a
Uh,
mini series of her in the
I
original
really,
trilogy era.
I really hope, because now that they've opened up all these, story possibilities of, oh, what was Boba Fett doing between the end of Jedi and this, and what was Bo-Katan doing between the end of Rebels and this? You have stories. Don't just give it to us.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you
think
have a canon. Actually utilize, the books, comics. Give us these stories. Don't just hold off on them.
I agree. Like, I want to see more of that. That's why I think they made a game changer move in episode 1, bringing in Cobb Vamp. I think really they're opening the canvas more, which is what I'm liking. Like, I mean, give us like a Bo-Katan comic book series or a novel trilogy or something, or a quadrilogy.
I find it weird that, I know they've announced we're getting Mandalorian books and only one original novel, but why haven't we gotten anything
I
like
know.
yet?
Like, why not they didn't give us, like, when the show is coming out, like a journey to the Mandalorian kind of thing? Like how they, I mean, heck, Rebels, when Rebels came out, you got, like, the book A New Dawn, and then you had the Kanan series. Then you had the young reader Rebels novels.
For
Man.
me, I guess it's because the sequel trilogy ones didn't really work too well, and then with the Rebels, it worked out, but it's not like they really focused on it. It was more
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's there.
Yeah, like, I think that's the thing with the Rebels, I feel like with tie-ins, you have the Kanan, as I mentioned, the Kanan comics. Heck, even the first new canon novel was a Rebels tie-in. And then
Mm.
Hera appears in, like, multiple sources of the new canon. Like, she's in a lot of the comic books, the Alphabet Squadron books, the Squadrons game. Like, she's, like, dominating the other sources of canon out post Rebels.
I guess it's just a matter of time because maybe they just didn't want to reveal anything like Baby Yoda, like who the Mandalorian was, because that was kind of
Yeah.
like a mystery for the first season.
Yeah, I can understand that. Maybe we'll have much more, like, tie-in material as the, as the show goes on,
Yeah,
which I think would be nice. Give us more, like, tie-in material.
and I think they want to focus on it being a show, so anything important would probably be seen in the show. While the
Yeah,
novels, comics, and stuff, it's probably going to be smaller scale stories.
true. That's what I think with the new canon as a whole. They're going more for, like, I think the movies and the shows are telling the bigger stuff, and the books are more on, like, the smaller details in a way. It's not like the EU where you had much more books telling the bigger, like, a lot of bigger stuff. Like, that's why in the new canon you don't have stuff like, series is like the New Jedi Order, Legacy of the Force, Fate of the Jedi.
Yeah,
Like, you don't have that kind of series so far in the new canon. Which maybe the High Republic may go that route, or it may go like the route of the multimedia of the original Clone Wars multimedia project. But that's
Well,
a discussion for another time.
yes. So going back to the episode. So last episode, or I should say, in the review of last episode, I said that when Mando meets up with another Mandalorian, whether it be Bo-Katan, Sabine, or even Boba Fett, there would be a mention. One of them would say something about the helmet rule, like, oh, the helmet rule's stupid or something. And it happened in this episode.
Oh yeah, I forgot to
Somebody
mention that.
grab that phone because I called it. But,
You
my dear State of Star Wars viewers, a certain individual, I'm not going to say who, he didn't save that piece of recording.
I fucked
Who
up
would do that, you
Rolly.
should ask? I don't know,
Oh yeah.
but he's a monster.
Oh yeah. He Oh yeah, you called it, Henson. We got the helmet rule thing.
So,
That's what I think. And I wonder with the Sabine appearance, I wonder if she's going to appear with Ahsoka, because that's the last we see of Sabine in Rebels.
oh, no doubt. But,
Yeah.
and don't worry, my dear viewers, there won't be any ill will, but there will be some anger moving forward. And
Yeah.
so, And plus, we got a bunch of interesting stuff. The tension between, the old ways and the new. Bo-Katan saying stuff like, or being more so, yeah, the old ways are stupid.
Yeah.
And Din being all like, oh, the old ways are the only way.
Oh,
Until
yeah.
the very end of the episode. But still, getting that dynamic is really interesting.
Yeah, I would agree there. I forgot to mention that when I was doing the plot rundown. Yeah, I was just going as much as I could, when we were going over that. But yeah, it was more like, yeah, that was something. Good catch there, and good call, Henson, there on that.
And of course, she also took a jab at him when she said, "This is the way," which was great.
Yeah, it'll be kind of interesting because, as Wedge said about the belief systems of Mandalorians, you want to specify on that?
Oh, well, in a previous episode, I had mentioned that essentially they're gonna probably break down the Mandalorians in terms of like religion. So basically, you would have like the new Mandalorians, which are the ones we've seen in the Clone Wars, as like the least devout. Then you would have the ones we see in the Clone Wars and Rebels with like the armor as like practicing, while Mandalorian would be of the overzealous. So like they're dedicated 100%, and it was cool to see that they brought that in because it, like Henson said, there was a really cool dynamic of like the old way versus the new way, and it talks about how much of the old and how much of the new can truly like work together. And it was cool to see that even Bo-Katan realizes that by the end that like you'll need a bit of the old, but you're also going to be willing to accept the new.
Yeah, because then we have all the clans like Bo-Katan is Clan Cries. Like one year they'll have if Sabine appears, we'll hear about Clan Ren because Mando in that flashback in the season 1 finale, he was raised by Death Watch. Because in the Mandos they had the Death Watch symbol.
Yeah, that's a story that has to be told.
Yeah, it would be
or unless
awesome.
they were just, or unless they're ex-members of Death Watch.
Yeah, that's something like. Because I wonder, because even like, yeah, I mean that's something like.
Because he's shocked that, or he doesn't even know that there are Mandalorians who don't follow the old ways, unless he's under the assumption that, he didn't even know who Bo-Katan was. He doesn't know anything.
I'm thinking that it was on purpose, like that, since it could be Death Watch, that they, like a small group broke off because she didn't even say he was Death Watch. They said he's just child of the Watch, just Watch. So it makes me think that they might have broke off at some point and really dedicated themselves to the old past and like sort of disregarded everyone's like, hey, you don't need to know about these people because they're not true Mandalorians.
Yeah, that could be it. Because I know, like, as I said in Legends, I think there was a retcon where they have the true Mandalorians and, like, the pacifist Mandalorians we see in the Clone Wars are the new Mandalorians.
Yeah.
As I've been saying in previous podcasts, I'm wondering if we'll go with that explanation. Another thing I'd like to see, like, get recanonized from Legends is the Rezel Nare. Would you guys like to see that? Like, something like that. Yeah, do that. Like, heck, even bring the Mandela language. I mean, that would be pretty awesome to see back in canon. And, even, like, heck, I say recanonize some things from Legends in the future. Like, heck, even, like, Shay Vizsla from the Old Republic. Maybe it could tie in more, with, like, the other Vizslas.
Give me Boba Fett's daughter.
Oh, yeah. That'd be nice, but it'd have an explanation why wasn't she present in the sequel trilogy?
I mean, there's easily explanation. I mean, you could say the same thing about why don't we see any Mandalorians in the sequel trilogy?
Yeah, like that's the thing. I want to see I want to go to Mandalorian live action. Heck, even
I think we will.
Yeah, I think we will. In Rebels, they brought back Concord Dawn. Maybe we could go there in the show as well, Concord Dawn.
Speaking of that, because people have been doing this back and forth of, when the new canon is Boba and Jango actual Mandalorians. Can we just get like actual concrete resolution on that? Because I keep going with the explanation of Olmec is a lying prick who had reason to lie.
Yeah,
but of course people take his word as 100%.
Yeah, like they take it as gospel.
So I just need that. I mean, honestly, as much as I would hate for them not to be actual Mandalorians, because that takes away a good chunk of their characters, just give me the concrete resolution to that.
Yeah,
that way we can finally just bury that hatchet.
Yeah, I agree. Like, just, I don't know, like, have that sometime in the future.
I say do it in this season. You got Boba Fett.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll appear sometime soon, like wanting his armor back, Wonder if he's gonna appear like in the finale, but I think Ahsoka is gonna be a huge focus.
Well, here's what I think they could do. So what I think, Din will pass off Baby Yoda to Ahsoka. She'll bugger off, and then like the last shot or something, we'll have Boba Fett come on screen, say something, and then credits.
Oh, I got chills.
That would be quite something.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, like, and then maybe we'll get the armor back. Maybe that's what I want to see. I wonder if like Boba Fett will work more with like with Dan and Bo-Katan, which
have him join that group of characters. Because there's another interesting dynamic in there. It's
true, like
especially if you make him, not Mandalorian. You got an old ways Mando, a new ways Mando, and then someone masquerading with the armor.
Yeah, because
I would love to see that dynamic.
I mean, even if you brought Boba Fett to have a prominent role in the future, like you will still get more, casuals to watch it because Boba Fett's like a very popular Star Wars character, and that still gets more viewers for Disney Plus.
I just want to build up off of what Ed Henson said, and how we were just discussing how he doesn't know anyone. Mm-hmm. What if they bring back Boba Fett and he wants his armor back, but he's he continues to masquerade as a Mandalorian, so he does enough just to get a pass by Mando because he doesn't know any better about the other Mandalorians. So Boba Fett can easily trick him and be like, "This is my armor. It's been in my family." Blah 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 blah. And so Mandalorian's gonna be trusting him, while we know that he's either lying or he's telling the truth. And considering that Boba Fett has been anti-villain, borderline, kind of a bad dude, there's gonna be that tension build up while we're waiting to see what he's gonna do next.
Yeah, I would agree. That's the thing. I mean, yeah. Should we move on to the next section, or did we pretty much merge it all?
We kind of merged it all. So I was gonna say.
Yeah. Well, I want to quickly bring up something about Ahsoka. So
yeah, go ahead.
I was hoping it would happen this episode because Bo-Katan was there in the Clone Wars, saw the Jedi and everything. So now I hope Ahsoka does it. Somebody to say, "Oh, this child looks like Yoda." Can we just get someone to finally acknowledge the fact that he looks like one of the most famous Jedi of the Clone Wars?
I think Ahsoka's gonna do it. I think so, 100%.
I hope she does it.
True.
I want someone to acknowledge that fact. And if it's her, great.
Yeah, because she was and she's seen Yoda. I mean, Bo-Katan didn't have any interaction with Yoda.
I mean, going off more so the assumption of she saw holovids or something of him.
Yeah, and plus Yoda was
during a battle somewhere.
Yeah, Yoda was the Grand Master back around that time,
and he was in several battles.
Yeah.
So
Plus, it's more in Ahsoka's character to point out something, while Bo-Katan, I feel like she would more disregard it just because it's like another alien. While Ahsoka would be the one to like pick it up and be like, "Oh, look, it's Yoda, but as a baby."
Yeah, I think she would
Did
be the
him
one.
and Yaddle have a?
Oh my god, if they do something like that, I'm actually gonna I'm gonna pause
Oh, I
it.
hope they don't do something like that.
Yeah, it'll
I'm gonna
be
go
an eye roller.
outside and scream, and then I'm gonna go back inside.
Oh yeah, I was like, what? Just
And then
roll
the
my
casuals
eyes.
can be like, "Who's Yaddle?"
I know.
You
Like,
remember that Yoda with hair in episode 1?
yeah.
What?
I don't know. I don't think they'll go that. I just think they'll just make it another of his species.
Oh,
Maybe
they
they'll
are
give
not. Yeah, they are not doing that. But it would be honestly kind of funny if they did.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
but
be hilarious.
true. I think they'll do. I think it's a different one of his species. Even in Knights of the Old Republic, we had a character of Yoda's species. So it's really like they could just make it like another of his kind. Like it
Well, I
doesn't have
mean,
to
that's
be
what they are
related.
going for. Let's be real here.
True. Like, I mean, with the child, I mean, you can just make another of his kind. I think people just call it Baby Yoda because they don't know who Yaddle is. That's how much they don't
Well, I mean, the
know.
thing is, we didn't get a name for him when he was in season 1. And plus, I
Yeah.
mean, Baby Yoda. And plus, calling him the child, why? That is not a good name.
I mean, I think maybe we'll learn its real name. Like, Ahsoka may know about it more.
Nah, I mean, I was hoping Manda would give him a name, even if it's just a temporary name, because, well, then again, let's face it, even if he gets a real name, nobody's ever going to call him by his name. It's always going to be Baby Yoda.
Yeah, that's it. I
Yeah.
think that's what the casuals will identify it, but the hardcore fans will call it by its real name. That's what I see.
Mm.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. I wonder if, Bo-Katan appearing and Ahsoka appearing, I wonder if it's going to get more people to watch the Clone Wars and Rebels. Would you guys
Probably.
agree? Like, I think it's going to
At
get...
least a good amount of people.
Yeah, like, I think the more movie-only people are going to get more into it. Because I think we've all met people in real life that never watched Clone Wars or Rebels. They've only seen the movies, and the only Star Wars show they watched was Mandalorian. I mean, I brought this up in the retrospect and all that. But yeah, I think this will get more people interested in it. And I think, it might get more for Disney Plus viewers. Come on, Clone Wars and Rebels is on Disney Plus. So you have it right there in front of you.
And you got the Resistance, which, let's face it, nobody actually honestly cares about. And I'm probably like one of the 20 people who saw that show in its entirety while it was airing.
Yeah, I saw it in its entirety when it was airing. And yeah, like Resistance doesn't have that connection as what Clone Wars and Rebels did. Because when you look at it, you could almost look at like the Clone Wars, Rebels, and Mandalorian almost like a trilogy. Like it's almost like this is more of a connected universe.
I
Whereas,
mean, you can look at Star Wars as, you got the saga films, you got the canon as a whole, but then you have the smaller Filoni verse, which is pretty much everything that Filoni has had some kind of connection to, or at least something that's connected to his work.
yeah, like you had, like even Rogue One and Solo aren't his creations, but they still connect it. Like
Yeah.
legitimatize his unit, like legitimatize his stuff. Like, Solo brought like the Pikes, and we see Darth Maul in it. And then in Rogue One, we get Saw Gerrera, the mention of Hera, General Syndulla, and then we see Chopper on the Yavin base and the Ghost from Rebels. And it was at the Battle of Scarif, but we see the Ghost in the Battle of Exegol in the Rise of Skywalker.
So, speaking of connections to the larger canon, I've seen some people say that, getting these characters, Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, is just pandering and artificial, but they aren't. Like,
Yeah.
what we've gotten has served the story of not only each episode, but also the larger narrative. Like, getting Cobb Vanth served multiple purposes. Continuing Aftermath, bringing in, or at least finally bring the Boba Fett plot, or finally confirming the fact that the armor he got was Boba Fett's armor,
Yeah. And then
bringing and giving a reason to bring Boba Fett into the story. And it also serves the purpose of actually utilizing the canon, which even if you are a Disney canon fan, you have to acknowledge the fact that for the past 5 years, the canon has not felt cohesive,
yeah.
like, at all. It's
Like, I mean,
mostly
this is
been a bunch of standalone stuff that, honestly, you could skip most of it and not miss anything of value.
like like I'm talking more. We're talking with the live action with like Mandalorian, Rogue One, and Solo are more. I'd say being more aware of it. Would you guys agree?
I mean, it's why I'm happy with what Mandalorian's doing right now.
Yeah, and
Actually utilizing the canon. I mean, yeah, you can make the argument that, it's taking the focus away from the show, but I mean, let's face it, because the show is all about the various adventures of Mando and Baby Yoda, actually
Yeah.
utilizing the canon only serves to strengthen the cohesion of the universe.
Yeah, I just don't think. I don't know. Would you say this is more like people who don't run up to speed on the books and all that?
Nah, casuals.
Yeah, that's what I think. I wonder if, like, as I've been saying, I just, I'll be interested to see. I wonder, like, when season 2's over, I think everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, now I gotta go watch the Clone Wars and Rebels. I gotta follow Ahsoka's journey. I gotta know more of Bo-Katan."
Hmm.
And then they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, now I know why Darth Maul was in Solo. Oh, now I know more about Saw Gerrera. And now I know who this General Syndulla person is."
Because, I mean, all the stuff is right there.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. I think this is why I'm pretty, like, I think why my top, like, one of my top favorites of the new era is, like, Mandalorian's up there along with Rogue One and Solo. It's probably just more like of me, like the lore person in me is why I think I'm liking these so much.
Okay, so do we have anything more to discuss about the episode itself?
I mean, I think me and Wedge kind of was sitting back. What would you think? Wedge could give his thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah, me and Henson, I think, have been doing much of the show.
That's good. Don't worry.
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on this episode, Wedge, and potentially this connecting to the larger canon?
Oh no, I love the fact that it's actually taking the source material and pushing it. Well, not the source material. Oh my god, I love that it's taking the canon and everything that's come before it and developing it and putting it in the forefront, which is something that, like, for the sequel trilogy, I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't do anything with what they had before, and they just focused on pleasing a more casual audience, which makes sense from a business standpoint. But it would have been nice if they had thrown us like a little reference here and there. Like, it wouldn't have killed them to have like a decent roll call in Rise of Skywalker.
Like, yeah, like I was like, my pipe dream was like a Resistance connection.
Yeah, I wanted
Like,
to
that was
see
like,
Wedge and Nora Wexley because they were set up in the Resistance Reborn book, but then, like, that's it. They just were disregarded completely.
yeah.
That was one of the most disappointing aspects of that horrible experience.
Yeah, do you think, like, I don't know, do you think J.J. Abrams doesn't keep up with this stuff outside the movies?
He doesn't. Let's face it, none of them care.
Or do you think
and we don't have a story group to do their job.
Yeah, they really the the biggest mistake Lucasfilm did with these movies was not get the story group involved. They kept them
Yeah.
out of the loop for a lot of it. I had
Yeah.
I
heard
mean,
for Last Jedi they had consulted him a bit, but like, and same thing for Force Awakens, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't substantial.
Yeah. I think
if you
with it.
look, if you look on Wikipedia, and this is something I did for a few of the authors, you'll notice that it's the authors who are actually trying to who actually care about making, a cohesive universe. Like, you have authors like Alexander Freed, one of them, who connects all of his books. Like, each of his books has like a reference to Twilight Company, I
Mm,
noticed.
Yeah,
And so you have stuff like that where it's the individual authors trying their best to make this universe actually feel like a universe, but
yeah.
you have the films that don't,
Mm,
with the
yeah.
reference to TCW, but nobody's gonna understand the reference because they don't properly explain it. Like, how the hell is Maul alive after episode 1?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like in Solo, they don't like he's just a reveal as the big bad. Like, because I bet you a lot of casuals were like who never watched the Clone Wars were like, what? But I think now with Mandalorian, with Bo-Katan and now Ahsoka, I think this will more motivate them more, and then they'll see why Maul is alive. Heck, I even did an article for the website on like in the summer on like Clone Wars and Rebels episodes and stuff you should read for like the clone, for like even for like Rogue One, Solo, and then even because all the Clone Wars and Rebels references for that, even
Mhm.
because this even I even mentioned it because of the Mando stuff was more out of the dark saber. Now I feel like looking back, that article kind of pays off. It was also because of Mandalorians as well. For the Mandalorian, I think it paid off with the Bo-Katan thing and
Mm,
and now the confirmation of Ahsoka. I feel like that article I did on the summer for our website paid off.
yeah,
Like I think I really did something for the community, for our adult canon community, and I think I did something that paid off. Like I
I
feel.
just hope as we reach closer to the, granted, got like 25 years before Force Awakens, but because, what Force Awakens did was reset the status quo. That was not a good writing choice, but what's done is done. So, because Force Awakens resets the status quo back to the beginning of the original trilogy, I'm really hoping that, once we get stories that reach closer to that point, that it doesn't really affect them. Like, we're gonna
Yeah.
see at least what the story, at least what we think the story is gonna be of Bo-Katan trying to unify Mandalore. So I really hope that by the time we get to the sequel trilogy, Mandalorians, etc., are like unified and not like scattered into different clans all over the galaxy. Like, have stuff firmly established that isn't affected by the status quo reset.
Mm-hmm.
Because God only knows. We already had the rebuilding of the Republic again, the rebuilding of the Jedi Order again. I do not want to see, again, the reunification of Mandalore for like the fourth or fifth time.
Yeah, like,
Have what
but
we're getting in Mandalorian right now be the last time. Have Mandalore unified, and then have them stay unified at the very least through the sequel trilogy.
I would agree with you there. Like, all the Mandalorians are together, and I think they did hint that we will get the some hints of the First Order origins as well.
Well, one of the things they told us, or one of the few things they told us about this show before it was released, was we would see the origin of the First Order. Or
Yeah,
if you are familiar with the new canon, there are like 5 different origin stories of the First Order.
yeah, we might get
So,
some, yeah, like some little sprinkles.
What we need is a Death Star type novel of just combining all the origins into one cohesive story.
Yeah, I got what you mean. Like the Death Star book in the EU. Yeah, do
Yeah,
something like that.
combining all the different stories of the Death Star into one
Yeah,
cohesive
because I think
novel. Do that with the
even
First Order.
maybe
Hell,
we'll
you can
learn
do it in
about
the series. It would work.
like have that kind of bring them all together into this big novel. Do this like novel that would smooth it all out in a way. Like they hire whatever writer. Heck, they could even. I want to see is like an animated show in the Clone Wars style. I've stated before, called like Star Wars: The New Republic or something. And it's kind of where Mandalorian's focusing on like the underworld aspect and all that, and probably more of the Mandalorians. Like, why not do this show that is the bigger aspect that kind of is like what the Clone Wars did with where I think people got more to appreciate the prequels more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as much as that's a whole other can of worms that would just anger me, but
Yeah, but I think if they did something like an animated, I think they'll might give us some things that weren't explored in the sequels that will now might do their best, to clear it all up. Like the First Order origins will probably go in there as what they stated before the series premiered. What would you
hey,
guys?
I would say yes.
All right, so with this episode and Bo-Katan returning, she makes an interesting point. Essentially, she wants to reunite the Mandalorians and take back the dark saber to establish a new rule of Mandalore, while also potentially liberating the planet from Imperial rule. Be it maybe Moff Gideon is controlling it, and he's like the warlord of that sector, or whatever. But essentially, she's back with a mission: liberate Mandalore, unite all Mandalorians under the rule of one leader. And this has major sort of repercussions for the future of the series and for Mandalorians in canon. So we're just going to talk about that a little bit. So who would like to start?
I guess I'll go, and then
All
I
right.
think Alright, so yeah, with that, as you would with Mandalore, maybe like they could like unite all the clans together, which would be something, and then maybe like heck, as I've said, I think let's recanonize something like the Rezonare from Legends, bring that in, which would be awesome. What do you guys think of that?
What I would like is for Mandalore to be unified and have them stay unified.
Mm-hmm.
And just have them be that that extra faction amongst all the other factions we have at the galaxy. And then I don't know, maybe during the sequel trilogy, like the battle against the Final Order. Or hell, I mean, or maybe not have them in that battle, maybe have them make a one last stand against the Empire or the last remnants of the Empire. Given how much the Empire has screwed them over, that'd be some like nice justice there.
Yeah. And then who knows? Maybe there's at some point when they united, let's say during the events of the sequel trilogy, maybe they fight some bit of the First Order.
Or maybe they can remain neutral, sort of like with the Hapens and Legends. They were kind of like that, like Henson said, that other faction, and they didn't really get involved unless it like you crept up on their territory.
Yeah, they could do
And
something like that.
and yeah, like essentially they could fight whoever like invades their space, or they just remain neutral to take care of their own affairs, since probably it's going to take some time to sort of reunite and rebuild Mandalore.
Yeah,
And on
that
that
would be some.
subject of like, I think there were Fang fighters in the Battle of Exegol, and considering they're like known to be part of the Mandalorian protectors. It could be possible that they send some sort of relief to like aid the resistance.
Yeah, that would be kind of something as well. Like, like I think as me and Henson said, why not they're unified as the galaxy? And as you said, Wedge, they're more this neutral thing. And then if you go on their territory, they will fight you or something.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have a faction that isn't Empire or Rebellion related.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that would be kind of
Just
something.
like, please let what happens in this season regarding the Mandalorians actually matter.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if we're gonna keep this part in the review podcast, but the sequel trilogy resets the status quo.
Yeah.
Let this reunification stick throughout the
Mhm.
sequel trilogy, so that way, once we finally start getting stories post Rise of Skywalker, the Mandalorians can just be firmly established, and they can just be a constant presence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're reunified, they're a whole. So if we ever want to do anything with them, we can do it, and we don't have to do yet another. Oh, Mandalore has to be reunified for the umpteenth time.
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying. Like, I'll be kind of something like a post Rise of Skywalker thing. They cross paths with Mandalorians because even Resistance didn't bring in Mandalorians.
Resistance was completely standalone.
Yeah, I think Resistance went more of just being more with the sequel trilogy and being its own thing, is where I think Clone Wars and Rebels really brought in the Mandalorians. And then, yeah, with Mandalorian, it was more the Mandalorian's kind of more like that, that's connected to the two, making that connection to the two shows, which is almost like you could call this almost like the Filoni trilogy in a way. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Take Clone Wars, take Rebels, and Mandalorian, and then you have like a trilogy. You could almost call this the Filoni trilogy. This is like the trilogy that almost everyone agrees with.
Yeah, of course, thinking of a smaller aspect of it, the Dark Saber trilogy.
Oh yeah, that's another one as well. Like it's the trilogy, despite everyone being so debating on what's better between the prequels, the originals, and the sequels. This is the one we all meet in the middle. The Filoni trilogy or the Dark Saber trilogy. This is the one we meet in the middle.
Yeah, I'd say definitely if we're just talking strictly about the Mandalorian stuff, I'm just going to refer to it as the Dark Saber trilogy.
Yeah. Or I'll just call it the Dave Filoni trilogy because it's pretty much his creation.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is his trilogy.
All right, so anything else?
I think I've said what I need to say. You guys?
Same.
Overall, I look forward more than ever to the future of this series. It's starting to show like it's gonna really take what's happened in the past, not just in the movies, but like in the comics, in the books, and they're gonna build it up, and they're gonna do something huge by the end of the series. Like there is no doubt in my mind that Mandalorian's going to become as important as the films in terms of like lore for future films, future sequel material. Like it's going to become a juggernaut for content.
Yeah. And that's what I said. I think you're going to get newer fans of Clone Wars and Rebels as well, which will make it more, people will want to see the other sources of canon. They'll want to get into the Clone Wars and Rebels. Maybe they'll go check out some of the books, maybe they'll go read the Aftermath trilogy to learn about Cobb Vanth or whatever. Maybe the XY, this character shows up, like, maybe they could bring in Dr. Aphra, maybe, and then people could go read the Aphra comics, or maybe they'll bring in some Legends characters, and maybe it'll want people to go check out the EU. Maybe, you know?
Essentially, it's making canon relevant again, and that's something that it's important to me because, like, I really like this new canon. Like, it doesn't like right now it doesn't amount up to Legends, but that is due to pure scale and preference. But still, this canon is shaping up into something good, and the Mandalorian's really enhancing all of it. And if this means anything, it's showing that future content is going to be more like this. They're not going to be scared to pick obscure characters, pick up plot elements from a comic and show it on the screen. They're
Yeah.
finally going to start spreading their wings and really do what we always dreamed of having for the EU. Basically, getting that reference to essentially what we read, what we like got to play in a video game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
Maybe.
it's gonna be huge. Like
Yeah, I
that's
think
literally the only way I could put it.
I could agree with you there. I think it's gonna more shape up the canon more, get
Hmm.
more people interested. I think it's gonna more. I think this is what's gonna change the canon forever, which I think we are at that track right now. You mean you bring in Cobb Vamp, that really changed the canon. A
Yeah.
minor character from the books. Heck, Rogue One brings in Saw Gerrera, and he wasn't really a major character in the show, only for a certain arc. But he has, such a small role in Rogue One, but, it was still a good example there. And then you have the little cameos of Chopper and the Ghost and the Hera mentioned in Rogue One. And then you could say Solo sort of did it as well with the Pikes and Darth Maul as well. And then heck, the prequels, George Lucas incorporated the planet Coruscant, which was originally in the Thrawn trilogy, but gets incorporated to play a big role in the
I
prequels.
mean, it should be noted that Coruscant was his idea, his
Yeah.
creation. He just gave it to Timothy Zahn
And then
to
he
use.
incorporates it, and then he puts Ayla Sakura as a background character, which Ayla Sakura was a comic book character originally, but just as a background character in episodes 2 and 3. And then the double bladed lightsaber was mentioned, was invented before Darth Maul was invented. And then in episode 3, there's a mention to Quinlan Voss.
So
When Obi-Wan says Master Voss has moved his troops to Boss Pity.
So, to put my final thoughts in, Mandalorian has moved the new canon in the right direction. What we get is proving to us that all these other sources, the books, the comics, the games, matter. Now, I don't think the new canon will ever be as good as the EU. Here's why. The first 5 years of the new canon have done a great job at destroying the possibility of us getting a real nice cohesive canon. We can still get a cohesive canon, but because the stories the first 5 years have mostly been self-contained, not really adding much value, or the sequel era being an era where you can't do much in terms of storytelling, this can't compare to the EU, but at the very least, moving forward, we can rectify what we can. We can show that everything in the canon actually matters. And with that, knowing that we actually have a cohesive canon, it can actually work out really well. I just hope that Mandalorian is a sign of things to come moving forward for Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I would agree with you completely. I think this is more like shaping things up. Because the only thing, as I've been saying earlier, I think, like Hera post Rebels appears in a few comic books in the Squadrons game, and Grand Admiral Ray Sloan appears in the Squadrons game as well. Maybe, she can even make the jump into the Mandalorian as well. I forgot about her. Ray Sloan would be another one they can utilize as a villain for the show, as that one as well. What would you guys say?
I mean,
anything that makes the canon more connected and feel like an actual universe, then I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I'd say it's possible. The sky's the
yeah.
limit, and the Mandalorian's proving it, like, genuinely.
We are getting Ahsoka frickin' Tano in live action.
I know. I think the wait is over. I mean, it's just only a matter of when, on which episode. I mean, we got the confirmation it's gonna happen. We're just don't. The wait is almost over.
I can imagine telling a younger me in over a decade, ignoring all the bad stuff that's going to happen with Star Wars, you are going to get to see Filoni in a live action Star Wars show, and you're going to see a live action Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And also see live action battle droids again.
I mean, that's probably what I'm telling 6th grade me right now. And I'm gonna see Ahsoka in live action.
Yeah, I mean, some of us saw that TCW film in theaters. Empty theaters, mind you, because nobody saw that film in theaters besides, us.
Yeah, I remember that.
I saw the movie when it came out. I remember getting some Lego promotion thing for the movie, and then I see they have the thing of Ahsoka, and I'm like, wait, Anakin has a Padawan? And I'm like, that was it. And I even remember when the show first aired, I remember getting the Happy Meal of the TCW toy. Oh yeah, I had one.
I remember that.
Good times. And then I could just remember I'm telling my 11, 12-year-old me, almost turning 12 right now, saying I'm gonna see Ahsoka in live action. I probably was even telling that when we saw Ahsoka in Rebels, I'm gonna see Ahsoka and Darth Vader fight in the Rebels Season 2 finale. Now I'm gonna see Ahsoka in Mandalorian Season 2. I'm right now telling 6th grade me.
And that's just another thing that Mandalorian has done really well. And this is something that the sequel trilogy failed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why Episode 3 is my favorite Star Wars film ever. It reminds me of why I love Star Wars, and it puts me back to being a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Getting these characters, getting these references to, the old days just gives me a good feeling. I mean, yeah, nostalgia certainly plays a part, but it just feels really good.
Yeah. That's the thing, I would agree with you there. And then I just think, we're telling our younger selves that, Wedge, are you telling your younger self that you're going to see Ahsoka in live action?
Yeah. I'm in disbelief. But,
I know.
For me, it's more about the possibilities of what's to come. Because, for me, the Cobb Van thing was huge.
Yeah. That's what I think. I wonder, what people did back when the prequels came out, when they were going to see Coruscant appear on the planet, if you read the EU back then. I wonder what people, did when they read the EU back when Attack of the Clones came out, when they saw Ayla Secura as a background character. Because because we were a bit younger when the prequels came out. We were, really young kids when the prequels came out, so... I mean, I was 2 when The Phantom Menace came out, 5 when Attack of the Clones came out, and then I was 8 when Revenge of the Sith came out, but I saw all the movies when they came out. But yeah, that's the thing, yeah, that's what I think, because I think we were, back then when the prequels, probably when episodes 1 and 2 came out, we were probably a little young to know about the EU about these sources outside the movies back then. I'd say probably more to when That's the thing, because even when episode 3 came out, when you were reading all the tie-in material back then, I wonder what a lot of fans did back then, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like when they were reading the Clone Wars multimedia project and watching the micro series back then, I bet that was would you say that was a payoff for them? And even with that Quinlan Voss reference?
Oh, it definitely was.
Yeah, even I think they got a payoff when they got Coruscant in the prequels and Ayla Secura in episodes 1 and 2 as a background character. And even the double-bladed lightsaber in Phantom Menace with Darth Maul. I bet they got a payoff there. But I think we got with a book character with Cobb Vanth, got a big payoff in that first Mandalorian episode of season 2.
That's a plot line that, came out 5 years ago, and I thought and feared that was a plot point that would not be followed up on.
Yeah. Because, the first Aftermath book came out in 2015. Then the second one came out in 2016. The third one came out in 2017.
All right, so do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's.
All right, so this has been State of Star Wars podcast on Mandalorian Chapter 11, the Heiress. Overall, we're just happy with it. We're so excited that we're going to finally get to see Ahsoka. We're beyond amazed that we got to see Bo-Katan, and we're all very hopeful for the Mandalorian's future and its impact on canon, and the fact that canon could potentially become something really great and beyond just novels and comics. We're talking TV shows and movies. We could really see something big and cohesive. Oh my God. We could really see something big and cohesive. You guys want to throw in your final goodbye before we say something?
I definitely agree with you, Edge. It just makes us, I think it's a big payoff for a lot of us people who follow this stuff,
Yeah.
It's
I'm happy that it finally appears that the new canon outside of the films actually matters.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, we're going to get a live action Ahsoka, and that's honestly the greatest thing this show will ever do, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's one of the big things they're going to do. I mean, look, Clone Wars aired when I was in middle school and high school, and I thought, I thought when we were younger back then, in those days, we probably never would see this moment of Ahsoka making it in live action, I thought, we would never see this moment, but
to put it simply, and to bring it all together, The Mandalorian has done more than just be the first live action Star Wars show. It's given us book characters we never thought we would get to see ever again. It's given us animated characters we thought we would never see in live action. The things this show has done has proven to me that this show is just amazing. And the work Favreau and the other cast and crew members have done here is just stellar. And hopefully it's a sign of things to come.
I agree with you.
That's that.
Yeah.
All right, so we will see you next week for Mandalorian Chapter 12. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.